The following is an official lore video of the Dark Diaspora Unvierse, a journey in world-building project.
Lady Allanah, Princess Consort of the House of Callum, awoke. A sudden blast of heat across her skin shocked her from the stupor. She was alive, somehow. Moments earlier, the royal skyship Ariela had entered a death spiral, with both the aft and starboard manifolds failing. Anti-grav drives were as close to infallible as you could find in the diaspora. The probability of one, let alone both, failing was astronomically small. It had to be sabotage, she had thought to herself. Allanah slowly opened her eyes, her head groggy from a G-force-induced bout of unconsciousness. The scene before her was horrific. The Ariela's fuselage was shattered into thousands of charred and twisted pieces, strewn across the now blackened terrain of the jungle's swamp-like undergrowth. Then she noticed the bodies. Mutilated corpses, most barely recognizable as human, were scattered everywhere. The full complement of the ship's crew seemingly lost in the cataclysmic violence of the crash. Lady Allanah felt a wave of nausea roll over her. She reached down and unbuckled the flight harness that had undoubtedly saved her, and collapsed to the blood-stained ground before her, vomiting. Yet she had no time to rest. She immediately glanced up, startled and afraid, as three haggard survivors frantically ran towards her, terror plastered across their faces. It was then that the immediacy of the danger dawned on her. For the Ariela had gone down deep in the jungles of Caldora, easily one of the most dangerous places on the planet, if not the wider diaspora. And they were being hunted. As the men approached, Allanah saw one suddenly collapse to the ground, tripped from behind. Grasping at his leg, he turned to the other men, and then onto Allanah, screaming with fear and desperation as he was dragged away. A tendril vine, the carnivorous and semi-mobile plant, had grappled his leg, and within moments, lifted him into the air before dropping him into its waiting, acid-filled maw. A gurgled scream from the man heralded his gruesome demise. Fear and shock swept over Allanah as more and more vines snaked across the crash site and towards the survivors. So she ran. She hurtled past flaming wreckage and mutilated corpses, dodging several accosting vines desperate to subdue and consume her. She managed to clear the wreckage, hiding behind a large rocky outcropping with the other survivors. That was when she heard the dull roaring thunder of the stampede. Within seconds of finding refuge from the vines, the jungle burst forth with a swarm of hundreds of insectoid monstrosities. They were all manner of horrific creatures, dog-sized grubs that left an acidic slime in their wake, skittering, spiny human-sized insectoids with razor-sharp appendages to skew their prey, giant dragonflies flittering in the sky, eager to hurl down their tail-mounted spines. And of course, there were the behemoths, giant four-legged, four-armed insect juggernauts the size of vehicles, while crushing mandibles and thick-scaled hides. Allanah watched in horror as the stampeding swarm rolled over the crash like a wave. Every scrap of organic matter, from scattered foodstuffs, charred linens, and mangled corpses, were eagerly consumed by the insects. And then they turned their attention towards Allanah. She had nowhere to run, surrounded on all sides by dense jungle, by danger. But fear and instinct carried her forward once again, through the rough, swampy terrain and away from the approaching swarm. Yet the creatures, born of the jungle and of the world, were too fast, and within moments, the first wave reached her. The princess braced herself for the attack, for her horrifically violent end. Then, a crashing boom echoed through the swampy undergrowth, and she was knocked to the ground from the forceful shockwave. That wasn't the bugs, she thought, as her head wrung from the concussive force. She peered up from her prone position as giant human-mounted lizard beasts and anti-grav vehicles emerged from the jungle's edge before her and rapidly engaged the swarm. All manner of weapons unloaded their ordnance. with cataclysmic explosions tearing the swarm apart in an orgy of delightfully gratuitous violence. As the beasts and vehicles surround the crash site, Allanah turned back to the jungle from whence they came. Still lying on the ground, her regal garments torn, blood-soaked, and covered with grime, she saw a man approaching her. Dark-skinned, tall with broad shoulders, the bright light of the sun perfectly framed the man's handsome face with an angelic halo. As he looked down on her, he smiled and spoke. And with that, Allanah heard the four most wondrous and joyous words of her life. 4 words that not only represented her salvation, but also her future. Welcome to the caravan.